What exactly is blood pressure anyway? And what are those weird units on blood pressure? So, blood pressure is simply the pressure that blood exerts on the walls of an artery as it flows through an artery. So, blood pressure is specific for arteries. And as blood is flowing through an artery, it's naturally pushing on the walls of that artery. That's all that blood pressure is. Sometimes blood pressure is referred to as blood hydrostatic pressure, but pretty much it's the same thing, blood pressure. Why not veins? That's because the blood pressure is so low in the veins. There's almost no pressure in a vein after the blood has flown through the arteries and the capillaries. The units we use for blood pressure are mmHg, or millimeters of mercury. And that's a really weird unit if you think about it. We're talking about a toxic liquid metal, mercury, and millimeters, a distance. How does that translate to a pressure, right? So there's kind of a weird story behind this. So back in the day, they used to measure the pressure of a liquid using something called a manometer. And this U-shaped tube is the manometer. So the little lines on the side here are millimeters. And I filled my manometer with mercury. So I guess I could try to, perfect, right? So there's my mercury. All right. So to measure a pressure, what they would do is they would apply a pressure to one side of the manometer while sealing off the other side. Okay. And they used mercury in these because mercury is a non-compressible liquid. So liquids like water, if you put them in a vacuum sealed chamber and then add pressure, we can actually make the water molecules get closer and closer together, but you can't do that with mercury. So it's non-compressible. So if you apply this pressure on one end of the manometer, it's going to push on the mercury and it's going to cause the mercury to rise on this other side, right? So maybe it moves up 4 millimeters, right? So then that pressure would be 4 millimeters of mercury, or 4 mmHg. And that is where the unit mmHg comes from.